2021, developer World Eater Games ran a successful crowdfunding campaign for their narrative-driven action game, Bittersweet Birthday. Over the years, they've been refining this adventure with the help of backers and feedback from updated demos. Now, we're finally about to celebrate the game's actual birthday with its official launch. However, some of those added bittersweet bits might hold back what could have been an excellent weekend indie game. Bittersweet Birthday begins with the player character waking up without his memories in a strange cell. A voice named Ada eventually reaches out over a speaker and informs him that if he wants to escape, he'll have to defeat the Guardians blocking his exit. The first Guardian, Rock, doesn't take long to reveal himself, but once you defeat him, the plot starts to take shape through flashbacks that act as both puzzles and narrative segments. As you progress, you'll learn how this strange boy fits into the messy storytelling and eventually reach a point where everything starts to click. The game doesn't really try to hide that the Guardians are connected to the protagonist's pasts, and the flashbacks slowly confirm that. Still, the pacing feels inconsistent. I really enjoyed the first encounter with Rock since he periodically challenged you as you progress through the story and exploration segments until your final battle with him. That said, Vega and Ciri don't get that same treatment, and the story only briefly touches on who they actually are during the first playthrough. After the fight with Rock, you'll spend a surprising amount of time exploring slice-of-life areas while doing side quests for NPCs before going into another major battle. This setup creates odd pacing gaps where the plot asks you to just go along with its ambiguity, hinting that answers will come eventually. Unfortunately, they mostly don't. While the story's emotional and darker elements start surfacing towards the end, I found myself not really caring about the conclusion. Regardless, the story lands a solid final act, and by then, most lingering questions are finally addressed. And thank the gaming gods, because that payoff made the last bot hit even harder, which I was ready for by that point. Bittersweet Birthday likes to market its combat as Soulslike, but if that's what you're here for, you might be a little disappointed. Without spoiling the specifics and a solid number, I will say that there are fewer than 6 total enemies and they're all bosses. Yes, the only foes you face are the bosses, each with 3 phases and an ultimate form. These fights can be really tough, but the retry option drops you right back in, so retrying is quick and painless. After Rock though, I didn't struggle much until each boss's final form, which definitely ramps up the challenge. The problem is that the long breaks between fights cause you to lose your rhythm. The dodging and parrying windows take a lot of practice, and with an hour or so between battles at times, you're forced relearning what you've already mastered. During that downtime, you'll mostly be handling side quests which feel disconnected from the tension of the main story. As you explore the backstory segments, you're asked to interact with NPCs and complete small tasks for items or money. The problem is that you're often missing context for why these moments even matter. For example, after defeating Rock, the next sequence suddenly drops you into the past where you're hanging out with him as his brother, and somehow he's even more annoying than before. The silent protagonist setup makes this even worse since everyone just talks for you, removing any sense of player agency or emotional response. Listen, it's cool, but I don't actually want to play darts or help a woman with her depression. I want to figure out why I'm killing these Guardians. The slower adventure-style segments change the pacing so drastically that the tone feels mismatched. One moment you're casually chatting with some townsfolk, and the next you're thrown into a brutal boss fight. Still, the game occasionally feeds you interesting pieces of information to keep your curiosity alive. I was determined to finish, though I'm not sure if it was because I genuinely was invested or just annoyed by the pacing enough to want closure. Either way, the mystery kept me going. Visually, Bittersweet Birthday is amazing. The pixel art is detailed and the environments have plenty of charm. Character designs stand out, but the sound design doesn't always hold up. Some scenes lack impact due to missing feedback or absent music, which dampens otherwise emotional moments. On the other side, the game includes a few thoughtful features. You can choose from multiple difficulty options, and the save system is a little interesting, allowing you to save anywhere when you have a journal in the past, but requiring a bed to save it in the present. It adds tension, but occasionally feels restrictive. I also have to mention one particularly cruel section that triggers a one-hit kill area. It's easily the hardest part of the game and worth noting for anyone watching my video review. At its core, Bittersweet Birthday is a narrative-driven action game that leans far more on the narrative than the action. Still, the story has a strange pull. Even when it fumbles, it maintains just enough intrigue to keep you moving forward. The writing feels ambitious, even if it's occasionally overcomplicated by what it's trying to say. The developers clearly poured heart and effort into making their ideas work, even when not all of them do. For its low asking price, this is an impressive display of indie ambition. Bittersweet Birthday takes a handful of big concepts: mystery, emotional storytelling, and skill-based combat, and then throws them together in ways that occasionally clash but still feel inspired. When the gameplay and narrative align, it's truly rewarding, and when they don't, it drags. Still, I found enough charm and mystery here to see it through to the end, and the boss rush mode at the conclusion of it all was a nice touch. Noisy Pixel is giving Bittersweet Birthday a 6.5 out of 10. Thanks for watching. This video is brought to you by our supporters on Patreon. Noisy Pixel is run by a group of gamers providing independent gaming coverage through news, reviews, previews, and more. Check out our Patreon to help support our continued growth, and subscribe to keep up with all our future content.
Noisy Pixel.